call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Present.
Commissioner Prudence,
Present.
and Commissioner Demott.
Present. At this time, I'm gonna let Walter has something to say.
Mr. Chairman, if we could have a moment of silence in memory of John Dorgan, father of our Executive Secretary Dale Sayre and her family. I'd like a motion of silence.
Second.
Motion made second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We have 2 minutes, previous meetings to go. The first one is December 12th. Board.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that if the previous meetings of December 12th, 2016 and January 9th, 2017 are found correct, that they be accepted.
Second.
Motion made second. Any discussion? No discussion, roll call.
Commissioner Capano?
Yes.
Commissioner Pucci?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellis?
Yes.
Commissioner Prudence?
Yes?
And Commissioner Demott.
Yes. Project update. Martina?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the plan performed well. The month of February, we averaged 24 MPP. We had 3.61 inches of rain. BOD CSS is good. Long Farms is behaving well, and everything's fine.
Any questions for Bob?
In the minutes, we had something in there that we were talking about having a 5-year review and starting that work, to work on that, and how's that progressing?
Progressing good. We went out to seek prices, and we received two prices, and we're reviewing those as we speak, and we have a meeting with one of the firms this Thursday, and optimistic that within the next week or so, we should be having a kickoff meeting to get it done.
Who are the two firms?
Weston Sampson and CH2M Hill. We also sent it to CDM, but they actually called us. Regretfully, they couldn't do it because their personnel was, that they would use was in New Jersey, so.
Now, you were gonna have, we discussed you were gonna have Bob Tina, who was gonna have Tony, not Tonio, the other contractor from Hawkindale and Field and Wood, work on like a outline of things that were gonna be reviewed as part of that scope of work.
Bob, is that necessary?
No.
What, to know what you're gonna be
Well, we're
asking
not,
for them to do?
until we hear back and they go over the bids and everything else, they'll tell them what to do in the spec.
Not necessarily, no. It'd be like having a design-build project and we don't give them any idea of what the scope of it
Well,
is.
what are you saying, Bob's not capable of second?
No, Mr. Chairman, are you gonna talk from the chair or are you gonna be the
I'll give
chairman
him the
tonight?
chair if you want.
Whatever you wanna do, but I have the floor, can I talk?
Go ahead, finish.
Thank you. So, at that meeting, we had agreed that that's what was gonna happen. Is that what is happening? And you put together that we expected to have that come back at a meeting here.
If you're talking about Tino West,
Yes.
I have not contacted him.
You haven't?
No.
Okay, because that's in the minutes that we just approved. So maybe that's something we should do.
Well, if someone gives me that direction, I'll be happy to do it.
Well, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I don't think that's necessary. He's in command down there. He calls the shots.
I kinda
Bob
think he
Tina.
knows what he's doing, too.
And right, that's unnecessary.
Mr.
That's
Chairman.
money spent
Yeah, he does.
that's not necessary. This guy spends too much money. It's costing the ratepayers of the city
Mr.
too much
Chairman, Point
money.
of order,
He's got this,
point of order, Mr. Chairman. He's claiming I can't spend any money here. This board spends money.
No, I'm sorry. I'm
This
sorry.
board- This board makes those decisions of the finances per state law. I don't do that.
okay, what are we, where are we at here? We don't have any votes to be made here, do we? Peter?
So, just to kind of clear this up, so you're reviewing the two bids between those two companies, so at that.
We are.
We are, right, that's what I meant. So at that point, you would make a recommendation that would come here, right?
Correct.
And we would review, and if we wanted any type of intervention at that point, that would be the time to do that, I would think, right? Is that
I believe
correct?
that to be, yeah, correct.
Okay, all right, I'm just trying to put the whole thing together.
Peter, really, in all reality, I don't think we need to put a lawyer on setting up the specs for a contract that's coming up 3 years from now. We don't even know what's gonna happen next year or the year after.
Mr. Chairman, are you gonna be the chairman or speak from the chair?
I'll do what I want.
Well, then, if you're gonna follow Robert's rules that we work under, you have to pass over to somebody else if you're gonna speak on the issue. Can I be recognized?
Sure.
Okay.
I can
We-
also
we-
say how many
we-
times people speak on an issue.
We talked about, excuse me, we talked about that was a reasonable thing. And the notes that we just, from that meeting, we had long conversations about what was gonna happen is they were gonna come back with like a flow chart of what issues were gonna be looked at. And that was gonna come back with, you know, our chief engineer and the contractor, West, and we were gonna have some sort of outline as to what the scope of work was gonna look like. And now all of a sudden we're saying that isn't a good thing to do, to know what amount of work you're gonna have done. And I expected that, whereas that was in the meeting, that was gonna happen. And it's not an unreasonable thing to give some sort of direction as to something as important, talking about money. Everything we don't find that's wrong at that plant is something that when the contractor comes in and something's not right, and we haven't found it under the present contractor, everything he hasn't given to us as it was when he received, we have to pay for to fix if we don't catch it. And that same contractor can come back in knowing what was missed, that we miss, and then say, you have to fix this and you have to fix that. And so this is how you save money, by using a contractor that does this, knows this, works with our staff, puts together some scope for the contractors to do. Mr. Chairman, do you have something for the rest of the commissioners here?
Mr. Chairman,
But I mean, we're not supposed to
Mr.
have
Chairman,
that
through the
type
chair.
of interaction.
I don't think there's anybody that knows any more about what's going down there in the sewers treatment plant than Bob Tina.
I agree.
And if there's anything going on down there that's not right, he's the one that knows. And if it's not right, he's sitting there and he comes here at every meeting and he will tell us that there's something wrong. And if he tells us that that's wrong, he'll tell us and we'll fix it. We don't need anybody coming in here, or we don't have to hire any outsiders to come in, and we don't have to pay any contractors to come and look at the plant to tell us that there's things wrong. Bob, Tina will tell us if there's any problems and things that are right or wrong. We don't need to spend money for outside contractors to come in and tell us. Bob, Tina will tell us what's right and what's wrong. That's it.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, Dave.
Bob, how have we resolved the issues with the incinerator?
How did we resolve the issues with the incinerator?
Yeah, we had an issue there about its function, and we had some contaminants that were found in the system. And we never heard what the resolution of that was. Who was responsible for that?
That's still being looked at. But if I could add, to try to clear up this thing.
Please do.
In the contract with Veolia, we are obligated to perform inspections of the plant by an independent third-party engineer in the 5th year, the 10th year, the 15th year, and the 18th year. So we're in the 15th year now. So we basically took what was done in year 5 and 10, elaborated a little bit more, and that's what we asked for prices, for proposals to do. And we're evaluating those now. So it's a contractual requirement we have to do.
And I think to further clarify it is, the intent is, we put together a technical document where we say, we want a consulting engineering firm to evaluate the pieces of equipment. And he's gonna do a robust investigation of all the equipment. If he comes back and says the primary clarifiers have a problem, the dewatering facility has a problem, the degridding facilities have a problem, then we may likely need an attorney to write a letter to Veolia saying, you're going to have to consider repairing these pieces of equipment over the next 5 years. But we haven't done for step 1 yet. We haven't selected an engineer. Once we select an engineer, Bob, we're evaluating, there's 2 of them. We're gonna get to a point, we're gonna evaluate the price, and then we're gonna award a contract to them, and then they're gonna go through the facility like an inventory of all the goods and the bads, and he's gonna say, okay, these are the things that should be corrected. And Viola's likely gonna say, you know, I have a problem with this, and then maybe we need to call in some legal assistance to get them to step up to the plate. So I think that's the intent.
Go ahead, Pete.
So continuing the way we're proceeding right now would not eliminate the possibility that we may need an outside intervention
Right.
sometime down the road.
Right.
Absolutely, we'll need him down the road. Right
Okay.
now,
We
I
gotta
don't
get
know.
this-
We're
we gotta
fine
get
the way we are.
engineering
Yeah, I'm just trying
company in
to,
place
just
first.
trying to
We're
understand.
fine the way
how it
we
works.
are. We don't have to spend any more money.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, Dave.
actually, what they're talking about is spending more money to go out and hire somebody to perform work for us. So they are talking about, and we do have to spend more money. So that's the process they're doing. That's not what we were told was going on last time. So can you keep the board in the loop? Because these things, things that cost tens of millions of dollars at jeopardy. We have a big plant down there. If an RFP's going out, we should know that. So can you bring that into the board so that we know what you're doing? Because that's not where we left it last time we talked about it. And can the board be part of some of those decisions and be informed is not unreasonable. That's the state law. And if you work with the chairman to get those things before the board so we
No.
know what's happening, that would be helpful for the board members. Because if you go forward without the board on these issues and act on your own, that's at your peril. Because you're taking authority for the board. It's a board issue to expend funds, make those decisions.
Yeah, I don't know who that was, I don't know who that was directed to, but at the December 12th meeting, I'm assuming Bob, at the December 12th meeting, we had a lengthy discussion on this, and Bob Tina stated that we put together a scope of services, and we are asking for prices from 3 different firms to do this work. Anthony Marino stated that the current requires an audit of the plant at 10, 5, 10, 15, and 18 years This will be an assessment at the 15-year mark. Bob Tina just stated the very same thing, which will be a robust evaluation because we can get it done in the 18-year additionally. We will not have much time to correct things moving forward. He anticipated it would be a most expensive evaluation. We've already discussed this. I don't know what more we can tell the board. Bob can tell the board, but
Dave, he's talking.
Yeah,
So-
I'm just, he paused, so I
Put your
said,
hand
Mr.
up,
Chairman.
okay.
We also, as I said, stated that we were gonna, we talked about, did we even need to do this? And there was a big debate over that, and this, yeah, it's something we need to do, actually see what condition the plant is in when we go into a new contract, so that we pick up that all the things that under the present contract that need to be repaired, under the contract, they're liable for that. They have to give it to us the same way they received it in good working condition. And that would be done. Okay, so that's also in the minutes. But all I want to know is have the information that should come to the board, like, hey, okay, and we're actually going out with a bid, not we're working on a document, that we're going to expend funds. We're going to do a search for a contractor for a purpose, for a service. That should come back here.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Walter.
Bob, do you think this topic should continue going on? You're completely aware of everything we've been talking about, and you're capable of continuing the way we've been going. Am I right or wrong?
It's like I said earlier, it's a contractual requirement that we do this inspection.
Then let's
So,
continue with something else, Mr. Chairman. I've had enough of this topic.
Okay, we don't need to vote on any of this, right? He's
No,
gonna
we're just
proceed the
having-
same way that he is, right?
Right.
Okay.
No, we're just having discussion.
It's over as far as I'm concerned, Mr. Chairman. I make a motion that we
There's
go
no
to the
vote,
next
there's no
topic.
vote. We're going on. We don't need a vote. Rick, water treatment plant.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the Water and Sewer Commission is in compliance with all federal and state drinking water regulations. The water supply capacity as of yesterday was 80%. The average for this time of year is 82%.
Wow.
All 10 of the positions at the water treatment
Right
plant are
back.
currently filled. That's my point.
We ought to get a big jump this week.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, November 30th, we were at 36%, which is the lowest in
I
20
remember.
20 years.
I remember.
And 3 months later, we're pretty much at max capacity.
Yeah, wait till Wednesday.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah. Right.
Go ahead, David.
how are we doing with the conversion on the chlorine?
Yes, Commissioner, we prepared a response to the DEP. It's currently in review with the executive director and the chief engineer, and that should be going out shortly. But all 6 items were addressed.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Rick. The CSO update. Danny, who's taking that?
I think Tony or Anthony can certainly handle it. And
So Commissioners, in February, actually February 17th, Commission staff and staff from CH2M met with the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs to talk about the project. That was a requirement within the consent decree that the project be presented to the MEPA office, which is the Mass Environmental Policy Act office, to determine how to move forward on the environmental permitting side. MEPA has come back and stated that the project can move forward under a notice of project change and not requiring a new filing with the MEPA office under a new environmental notification form. So that was good news. It's less work, it's a quicker approval process. Subsequently, we met with Department of Environmental Protection and EPA, this was last Friday, to talk about how the project is progressing technically and to talk specifically about the outfall approaches that we're trying to take to get the separated stormwater out to Lynn Harbor. So the presentation was made to DEP that was consistent with the discussion that was held at the MEPA office. DEP is looking for a subsequent meeting once they get a chance to look at a memo that the commission has that's being reviewed right now. Once that memo is submitted to DEP, they're going to want a second meeting that also includes Bob Tina and Al Waite from the treatment plant, because the option that we're considering for the outfall is the inner harbor outfall that's associated with the wastewater treatment plant, which would require a very more straightforward approach to getting the stormwater out of the system and not require a new outfall, new routing, land taking, and the associated permitting that would go along with that. So if this alternative actually is successful, it will be a quicker, much less expensive alternative to getting the stormwater out to Lynn Harbor.
Bob,
Yes.
will this create more strain or more wear and tear on our plant?
I don't think so, Mr. Chairman. It's a pipe that we very seldom use. It's already in the ground. I'm excited about the idea.
So it's actually not going through the plant? though?
No.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Correct.
That's,
Right.
I kind of thought by what he was saying that they were putting it through the plant.
No,
So it's
already-
currently going through the plant, we're trying to get it out of the plant and get it out the inner
Well,
harbor
that's
pipe.
what I
Right,
thought we were-
exactly.
Okay, thanks, Bob.
What's the size of the pipe?
60 inch.
60 inch. What was the proposed outfall size?
The planning size of the outfall is a 10-by-4 box culvert.
It's a big difference.
Well, the big difference is that the stormwater now has to be pumped because of the
Yeah.
impacts of climate change on the system. With a pumping station, we can take much more advantage of the smaller diameter pipe based on the size of the pumps that we require.
Oh, okay. So what's the size of the pumping headworks look like?
Well, there's just a conceptual footprint of it right now. It takes up an area with the wet well, the screening facilities, and the pump station itself, about 100 by 100 footprint. 100 foot by 100 foot footprint. Two alternative locations for the station were evaluated, one at the treatment plant site, one at the DPW site. The most advantageous location is at the DPW site.
Yeah, you want to get closer to the water.
Well, it's also city-owned land, and they seem to have available land.
What was the footprint on the passive system? The other box culvert
Well,
system?
that actually extended quite a distance along the Linway and then out to the harbor. The location, the alignment had not been determined, and that, as has been discussed here, could have involved an awful lot of coordination with new developers, with the city itself, current landowners along the waterfront. So if this in fact becomes the viable alternative, and we're very confident that it can, it will save a lot.
Who brought that up as an alternative?
That was
How'd that
something
come
that we
about?
worked on together with staff, so it was a collaborative effort to come up with that.
Good. Did they seem amenable? They're at least going to look at it.
Both NEPA and DEP and EPAs are very encouraged by the alternative. They just want to make sure that there's, one, not going to be any impacts to the plant itself, and then two, to make sure that logistically, with all the utility impacts and whatnot, that it can be done.
Go ahead, Peter.
Thanks.
Yeah, I was just curious. So you're meeting with Viola, Al and Bob there, and is that to, not just to inform them, you probably already know, is that for permission or to determine capacity or what,
It's really logistics, and it's understanding to a higher level of detail how the plant is operated now, how often they use that inner harbor outfall, just to make sure that there aren't any impacts to the day-to-day operation, but also to get Bob and Violia's institutional knowledge of how the system works, to make sure that everybody's on the right track with making assumptions and making sure that we can actually make this work.
Anytime we discharge out that overflow, there's a reporting requirement monthly that Viola and Bob submit. And so they sort of stay away from that. Any flows in excess of 60 to 75 MGD, million gallons a day, the outfall has to open. All right, so they don't really want to do that. Now with this new plan, it's going to be a stormwater discharge. So you got to work out the logistics of that not really being ideal to open, as opposed to something that's going to see some stormwater discharge every rain event. And there may be some base flow in there, so it's going to be now it's going to be a regular outfall pipe, so we just have to work through the differences of that.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, and the proposed budget, I guess that's gonna be Dave.
Yeah, in your package, you can put the proposed budget schedule in there for you.
We're not looking for any votes this evening. Pretty much everything's consistent with past practice, and the only thing is you might be cognizant of the rate hearing, which is in June, and so you can put your schedules together. June 7th, be a 6 PM hearing here at the commission. Other than that,
Any questions for Dave?
Fine job, Mr. Travis.
just the beginning. We haven't done it yet.
Okay. Go ahead.
Danny, how did that, on the rate hearing, how did that go for the commercial rate?
I was in California, so I didn't attend,
Okay.
but I believe
I was there.
Mr. Capano came, Commissioner Capano.
Good.
And I think he was more or less the, in Council Walsh,
Council Walsh.
but he had concerns relative to a Pennybrook Road water booster pump station, which is totally separate from this issue.
Yeah.
We have a meeting with Andrew Hall scheduled for tomorrow prior to the storm to see if we could address Council Walsh's issues. But Council Capano brought up some issues, and we're going to record them and proceed, I guess.
Good, so we got that issue closed that we wanted to, because of the financial significance of it, get that in place, so that's in place, in force.
Go ahead.
Is there an appeal period too after the public hearing? It was last week, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Last Wednesday.
Yeah, Walter was there, too.
Speaking of it, let's just logistically go through where we as staff, and I haven't really talked to Sam how this should go from here. So we had the rate hearing that evening. We will also be having a second rate hearing in June, so there'll be a second probably opportunity for anybody to speak on that, because by then we'll have put this rate that was adopted into our rate schedule, so it will be part of the June hearing again. And again, it's up to this board. Would be our anticipation that all those rates would become effective July 1st with all the other rates that will be part of that process.
Right, that was a good task to get done.
Okay, on the new business. Any new business? Hearing no new business, what's the wish of the board?
Adjourn.
Motion made and seconded.